Eating disorders. In this presentation, we are going to go over first explanation of food eating disorders, the types of food eating disorders, binge eating, night eating syndrome, anorexia, bulimia, purging, avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, rumination, and then the treatments and conclusion, as well as the credits. What is an eating disorder? Eating disorders are illnesses that affect a person's eating behavior and often cause changes in how much food that they take in. Obsessions with food, body weight, and shape are also common with people with eating disorders and are actually serious and potentially fatal. Food disorders run in the family, and so they can be influenced by the family. Twins and their genetics can increase food disorders, and food disorders tend to be more common in women than men. Certain genetics can also play a role in these disorders. Another acting role are mental illnesses. The types of eating disorders are anorexia nervosa, purging, night eating syndrome, avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, overeating, binge eating, bulimia nervosa, and rumination. Keep in mind, these are just the main types of eating disorders, not all of them. Binge eating and overeating. Individuals with binge eating and overeating disorder often eat an excessive amount of food in a short period of time. The food exceeds the healthy limit and the cause is a result of one dealing with other mental health problems. Some body parts are affected are excretory system, brain due to other health issues, digestive system. Some symptoms include eating too much food in a short period of time, purposely stuffing oneself due to other mental health problems, eating at recurring moments and much too much in quantity, consuming until it is painful to move, can affect physical abilities, and is also a victim of all ages, gender, race, and ethnicity, and can cause extreme weight gain. Night eating syndrome. Night eating syndrome is a food eating disorder in which an individual has a delay in their daily circadian. This means that they will eat food starting from the afternoon and then into the night. Meanwhile, a normal person would eat food during the day and until the early evening. Some symptoms are not normal food intake in the evening, causes binge eating, eating more than half of your daily calories after waking up at night, insomnia or having difficulty falling asleep, depressed mood, or you feel that only eating will make you fall asleep. Some body parts are affected are the brain and have binge parts of the digestive system. Anorexia. People with anorexia nervosa tend to see themselves fat and overweight. This mindset causes them to restrict eating and eventually are utterly terrified of gaining any weight in general. Some symptoms include permanent mindset of thinking themselves as fat and overweight, though they're terrified, and they're also terrified of getting any weight, even though they're extremely underweight. They also have difficulty in eating food relative to the person's own body weight. They have lack of energy to talk and move, experience body aches and unnatural coldness in hand and lips. And also some body parts affected are the brain, digestive system, circulatory system, and also possibly a whole body system affected if taken to the extreme. Bulimia. Bulimia or bulimia nervosa is an extreme eating disorder in which many major food disorders come together. An individual with bulimia thinks they are too fat, so with self-regret, they stuff themselves up with food in a short period of time and then cannot control their appetite when that episode occurs. Some body parts that are affected are the brain, excretory, and digestive systems. Meanwhile, some symptoms include extreme self-evaluation and diet changes. Also, they can also experience vomiting, fasting, extreme exercise, overintake of diet pills, and extreme weight loss. Can also potentially lead to binge eating, which can cause overheating, a shortage of self-control, and a weakness of organs, including the already horrible symptoms of bulimia itself, right? And by the way, when I say brain as the body part affected, it means them basically coping with the mental health issues that could be possibly prior to these food eating disorders, or the food eating disorders causing mental issues about how they evaluate themselves and how terrified they get of food, or basically their new and changed mindset, right? Purging. Purging disorder is when an individual uses tactics like self-vomiting or laxatives to reduce their own size and shape their body in episodes of binge eating. Individuals do not consume a large amount of food before purging, making the effect stronger, and some symptoms are hiding while eating, constant eating until pain, self-vomiting, non-stop bathroom trips, constant dieting, secretive laxative use, unhealthy exercise, and some body parts that are affected are the brain, stomach, teeth, mouth, rectum, and possibly any digestive parts, as well as the esophagus. Avoidant restrictive food intake disorder. Avoidant restrictive food intake disorder is having the fear of the characteristics of pieces of food, which can cause unwanted emotions, which restrict your ability to eat that portion of food. Lack of nutrients cause a failure to obtain energy for daily activities, and psychological malfunctions include inability to work or communicate. They are also restricted food intake and fail to meet a basic weight requirement, and this disorder causes many negative symptoms upon the respective individual and can be very troublesome to deal with and adapt to. Some mental stress, and if body parts that can be affected are the brain, bones because of lack of calcium, whole body system if taken to the extreme. Rumination. Rumination is a disorder when young adults or children reach through already digest food that has already been brought back. This food is then swallowed again for the second time or otherwise it is spit out. Some symptoms are repetition of rechewing partially digested food, weight loss, bad breath, chappy or raw lips, tooth decay, indigestion. Body parts are affected are stomach, esophagus, mouth, small and large intestine. Now, for treatment options, you can seek a mental health professional, talking to a psychiatrist or possibly a nutritionist, possibly taking prescribed medication, though that is not often. Doing whatever the doctor tells you to do, which is very important, and talking to peers or trusted adults, which could provide resolution. In conclusion, eating disorders are not to be taken lightly. They are serious and require support and help. The illnesses can cause severe mental and physical disabilities. In some severe cases, even depression or other mental health problems. If you're a victim or if you know someone that is experiencing this illness, please get help or advise others to meet with their local mental health professionals. Final notes. There are no images that are related to basically each eating disorder. That is possibly because each symptom, some of the symptoms were incorrect in the images, and some weren't certified by MCPS, as well as most of the images were just them, I don't know, like holding their head. So I didn't decide to put them in. Instead, I just decided to put disorders, pictures which are somehow related to the main gist of eating disorders and basically treatments. So here are my credits from nationaleatingdisorders.org, Mayo Clinic, WebMD, Walden Eating Disorders, helpguide.org, and the images were Google certified free to use images provided by MCPS. And also, my final note is on mayoclinic.org, there's a really cool thing where it basically shows us somebody that wrote to the Mayo Clinic and asked basically to be cured there, and basically their experience with bulimia and anorexia, which provided me with a lot of information. So yeah, thank you again for listening to my slide presentation. Hope you now know a lot more about food eating disorders than you would know prior to this presentation. Thank you.